You ever have a moment so surreal, your brain just freezes like it can't decide whether to laugh, scream, or just burn the place down? That was me, standing in my own damn living room, surrounded by people I barely tolerated on holidays. My wife, Madison, tall, blonde, sharp as a knife and twice as cold, had just handed me a thick envelope wrapped in a red ribbon like it was a birthday gift. Her whole family was there. Her dad, Rick, leaned against the fireplace sipping something expensive and grinning like a villain in a cheap movie. Her sister, Lisa, was already filming. Madison smiled, that fake smile she used to wear when talking to waiters. "Happy birthday, Jake," she said sweetly, handing me the envelope. "This year, I got you something special." I should have known. The moment I saw her in that red dress and her mother popping a bottle of champagne at 3 p.m., something in my gut turned. My hands moved slow, like they didn't want to touch it. But I opened it anyway. Divorce papers. On my birthday. Before I could speak, Madison stepped back like a magician revealing her trick and said, loud and proud, "Surprise. I'm leaving you for someone who isn't a disappointment." The room erupted. Laughter. Applause. Her dad added the cherry on top with a voice soaked in bourbon and arrogance. "We never thought she'd actually marry someone so beneath her." And they clinked glasses. I stood there with the papers in my hand, surrounded by people toasting my humiliation. I looked down at the signature line. My name. A blank space waiting to be filled like my place in her life, disposable, replaceable. I could have flipped the table. I could have called her every name I've been biting down on for years. But instead, I smiled. Not a fake smile. Not a polite one. A real one. The kind that comes when the mask finally drops and you don't have to pretend anymore. I took a pen from the kitchen counter, calmly signed the papers, and handed them back like I was checking out of a hotel. "Happy now?" I asked. She blinked, caught off guard by how easy it was. "Jake, aren't you going to say something?" "Yeah," I said. "Thanks for finally making it this easy." Then I walked out. No yelling. No scenes. Just me, my keys, and the sharp click of the front door shutting behind me. That was 6 months ago. And today, she's sleeping in her car. Outside my house. Hair a mess, makeup smeared, looking nothing like the woman who laughed in my face. And my phone? 53 unread messages. All caps. All begging. "Please answer. Jake, I'm sorry. Please just open the door." She's been out there since last night. I haven't moved. I'm just sitting here at the window, coffee in one hand, her last message on the screen, wondering how the hell we got here and what made her think I'd ever answer. But before I get to that part, before you think this is just another revenge fantasy, let me tell you how it really began. It wasn't the champagne or the birthday. It started months before that, with little cracks no one else could see. The phone always on silent. The extra trips to hot yoga. The smell of cologne that wasn't mine on her jacket. I didn't want to believe it. You never do. But the lies, they rot the air around them. And Madison? She was fluent in lying. It rolled off her tongue smoother than her mascara. I caught the first message by accident. An Uber driver called her by the wrong name. "Melissa, your guy's waiting downstairs." She laughed it off. But I remembered. Then came the red underwear she never wore for me, tucked in her purse after a business dinner. And the worst part? She didn't even try to hide it well. Like she wanted me to find out. Like I was a dog she was daring to bark. Well, I didn't bark. I smiled. I waited. And I let her build the perfect stage for her big scene. Let her gather her friends, her family, her audience. And now? Now the stage is empty. The applause died. The lights are off. And she's outside in her car, watching my window, crying into her steering wheel. It's not over yet. Not by a long shot. Because what she doesn't know is that I already knew everything. And what you don't know is what I did about it. I didn't want to believe it. You never do at first. You brush it off, tell yourself you're just tired, paranoid, overthinking. But deep down, you always know. It started with that Uber driver. We were coming back from a fundraiser her company hosted, the kind of event where everyone's pretending to be richer and kinder than they really are. Madison was glowing that night. Not for me. That glow was reserved for something else. Or rather, someone. We stepped outside the hotel, and the black SUV pulled up. The driver leaned over and said with a grin, "Melissa, your guy's been waiting a while." Madison froze. Just for half a second. Most wouldn't have noticed, but I did. She laughed, light and fake. "Oh, no, that's not me. Wrong name." But the driver frowned. "No, that's what it says on the app. Melissa." You ordered it. Must be a glitch, she said, getting in anyway. I didn't say a word, but I remembered that name. Melissa. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I checked her phone. I knew the password. Of course I did, or at least I thought I did. Face ID denied. She'd changed it. That moment hit harder than the Uber driver's slip-up. She never changed her phone password. Ever. I stared at that locked screen for minutes, heart pounding like a war drum. I wanted to throw it against the wall, but what would that prove? That I knew? That I cared? Instead, I placed it back exactly where I found it and acted like nothing happened. Later that week, I found the red lace. She came home late. Said she stayed after yoga to cool down with her friend, Chloe. Said they talked about Madison's new vision board. She even showed me a picture of some travel plans taped to a corkboard like it proved she was where she said she was. She walked past me to the bedroom, dropped her purse on the bed. That's when I saw it, peeking out of the zipper. A flash of red. She never wore red underwear for me. Not since our second year of marriage. Said it felt too performative. Said she preferred comfort. Cotton. Neutrals. But there it was, red lace, delicate, clearly new, stuffed in a side pocket. I didn't touch it. Didn't say a word. She turned, smiled, and said, I'm gonna shower rough yoga tonight. I just nodded. Sure. I watched her walk away, then sat down and stared at the purse like it was some cursed artifact. That night, I lay in bed next to her and didn't sleep. Her breathing was calm. Mine was not. You know what it feels like to lie next to someone who's already left you? Like sharing a bed with a ghost who still steals your blankets. The next day, I called Chloe. We weren't close, Madison had made sure of that. But I kept it civil. Hey, Chloe, I said. Quick question. Maddie mentioned you guys hung out after yoga last night. Sounded like fun. A pause. Last night? Chloe's voice held confusion. Yeah. Said you two did some vision boarding or something. Chloe hesitated. Jake. I haven't seen her in a few weeks. I've been in San Diego visiting my mom. Boom. I thanked her, ended the call, and stared out the window. Madison walked in 10 minutes later, holding a matcha smoothie and scrolling her phone. I didn't even look at her. I didn't need to. Because now it was real. Everything clicked into place, the late nights, the emotional distance, the lies dressed up as daily routine. And suddenly, I wasn't hurt. I was calm, cold, calculating. She wanted to play a game? Fine. I'd play too. But I wouldn't shout, wouldn't accuse, wouldn't give her the fight she wanted. No. I'd smile, like always. And I'd wait. Because I had something better than suspicion now. I had truth. And the truth? The truth was, my wife wasn't just a liar. She was a performer. And she'd already written the ending to our story. She just didn't know I'd be rewriting it. The thing about lies, they leave fingerprints. Even when she thought she was covering her tracks, Madison left trails. She wasn't stupid, just arrogant. And arrogance makes people sloppy. I didn't need to be a tech genius to find it. One night, after she fell asleep on the couch with her laptop open, wine in hand, makeup still on, her phone buzzing on silent, I did what she never thought I'd do. I went snooping. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't that guy. I'd never checked her messages before. I wanted to believe in trust. I really did. But trust is a luxury, and I couldn't afford that illusion anymore. Her laptop was still logged in. I opened the browser. Recent tabs were boring. Pinterest, Sephora, an email about a charity gala next month. Then I noticed a folder on her desktop. It was named Work Docs, Do Not Touch. Too obvious. Too defensive. I opened it. Inside, nested 3 folders deep, was a file titled M. That's it. Just one letter. Not even a full name. My stomach dropped. I opened it, heart racing. Screenshots. Dozens of them. Chats from WhatsApp, Signal, and Instagram DMs. Conversations that read like the script of a cheap soap opera. But what struck me wasn't the filth, though there was plenty of it, masked in emojis and innuendo. No. What hit me were her words. He never listens. I feel like I'm dying in that house. He's so small-minded, you get me. He never did. I want to scream every time he touches me. That one stung. That one made my fingers go numb. She wasn't just cheating on me, she was rewriting our marriage to justify it. Turning me into a villain so she could play the role of the poor, misunderstood victim. Her lover's name? Mason. A personal trainer. 6 years younger. Sleeves full of tattoos, a jawline sharp enough to slice granite. I recognized him from her gym's Instagram stories. Always shirtless, always smirking like he knew something I didn't. Now I knew. She'd been sending him pictures. Some barely clothed, others with handwritten notes on her body. For M, your girl. Mine? No, not anymore. The messages painted a picture I hadn't wanted to see. Her leaving our house, pulling into parking lots under fake names, checking into hotels for an hour-long stretch session, then coming home and pretending to have back pain from too much squatting. I laughed. Quiet, bitter, and dry. She had been playing me like a fool, but I was done playing. I transferred the folder to a USB stick I kept in my office drawer. Then I closed the laptop and covered her with a blanket. She never stirred. The next morning, she kissed my cheek and told me she'd be working late. I just nodded and poured her coffee. I didn't flinch. Didn't even blink. Because now I had proof. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wasn't looking for an apology. I wasn't interested in closure. I wanted precision. I started planning. First, I called my lawyer, a friend from college, Lucas, and asked him to prepare paperwork, just in case. He didn't ask questions. He knew the tone in my voice meant something serious. Then I began moving money. Quietly. Cleanly. Slowly. I set up a new account in my name only. Transferred just enough to not raise suspicion, but enough to survive comfortably. I made copies of deeds, titles, insurance policies. I changed the password to my cloud storage. Took her off shared access. Day by day, I dismantled the life she thought was hers. Madison kept on smiling. Kept lying. One night, she even curled into bed beside me and whispered, "You've been really sweet lately." "Thanks," I replied. She kissed my shoulder. "It's like, the old Jake's coming back." I turned and smiled at her. "The old Jake," I said softly, "was just asleep." She giggled. "Well, I'm glad he's awake now." "Yeah, me too." Because I was wide awake. And the nightmare? It was hers now. You know what the hardest part was? Pretending. Pretending to laugh when she told me her new yoga instructor looked exactly like Chris Hemsworth. Pretending to be surprised when she said she couldn't make dinner because of a last-minute meeting. Pretending I hadn't seen the text she sent Mason calling me a boring loser with dead eyes. Dead eyes? Yeah, maybe. But I was done blinking. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. That's what she expected. She wanted a scene, something dramatic so she could point her manicured finger at me and say, "See? He's unstable. He's angry. He's the problem." So I smiled instead. That's what really scared her, I think. The silence. While she lived in her lie, I built an escape route. Every day I was home, I planted seeds for my exit. Quiet, small things. Boxed up items in the garage under the excuse of decluttering. Moved my personal files into a locked drawer at work. Talked to my accountant about investment strategies that just so happened to pull my assets away from our joint accounts. She never noticed. She was too busy rehearsing her next excuse. Too busy texting Mason selfies from our bathroom mirror, labeling them secret kisses. But I wasn't planning revenge just yet. No. I was preparing for her performance, the one I knew was coming. Because people like Madison don't just cheat. They make events out of betrayal. They crave attention more than affection. And I had this gut feeling that when she finally told me, it wouldn't be in private. She'd need an audience. I was right. 3 weeks before my birthday, I found an event invite in the kitchen drawer. Handwritten. Fancy cardstock. Jake's birthday brunch, hosted by Madison Walker. I stared at it for a solid minute, trying to figure out why my wife was throwing me a brunch party when she barely even looked me in the eyes anymore. Then I noticed the guest list. Her entire family. Her high school best friend. Her yoga friends. Her boss. But no one from my side. Not my brother, not my best friend, not even my goddamn assistant. This wasn't a celebration. It was a setup. I didn't know the how yet, but I could smell it in the air. Madison had a plan, and I was the punchline. So I made one too. Step 1. Act grateful. I kissed her forehead that night and said, "I can't believe you're planning something. That means a lot." She smiled like a cat that just ate a songbird. "Well, I figured it was time I reminded you how much I care." Sure. Step 2. Move the valuables. I had the safe cleared out by the end of that week. Jewelry? Gone. Family heirlooms? In a secure locker. My documents? Digitized and backed up twice. Step 3. Tell no one. Not yet. Not even Lucas, my lawyer, knew the full extent. I needed this clean. I needed it mine. And step 4? Wait. The night before my birthday, Madison came to bed in silk. Red silk. She hadn't worn lingerie in months. Maybe years. She slid under the covers like nothing was wrong, traced my chest with her fingers and said, "I feel like we're finally in a better place." "Do you?" I asked, looking her straight in the eye. She nodded. "Yeah, you've been amazing lately. Supportive. Quiet. Quiet." She really said that. I smiled and kissed her forehead. "Then I'm glad. I want you to remember this version of me tomorrow." She blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Just that I hope I live up to the party." She laughed, not knowing she'd be the one putting on the real show. The next morning, I dressed in my best. Navy suit. Shined shoes. I looked like a man being honored, not ambushed. I walked into that house knowing I was walking into a trap. And still, when she handed me that ribbon-wrapped envelope, when her father uncorked the champagne, when she shouted, "Surprise. I'm leaving you for someone who isn't a disappointment," it still hit me like a bat to the ribs. But I didn't let it show, because I'd already rehearsed my line. I signed those papers with a calm so sharp it could have cut glass. And then I left. No storm. No scene. Just the quiet hum of victory. She thought it was over. But really, it was just beginning. When I walked out that door on my birthday, the air felt different. Lighter. Like I had been underwater for years and finally broke through the surface. I could breathe again, not deeply, but enough to know I was still alive. I didn't go home. Not to the house we'd shared, not to the space where her perfume still lingered on the pillow, where her lies soaked into the walls like mold. I had a condo I'd quietly leased downtown 2 months before. Fully furnished, stocked, untouched. My plan B. Now suddenly my plan A. The silence there was intoxicating. No heels clicking on tile. No fake laughter on speakerphone. No staged kisses on the cheek. Just peace. For a while, I didn't answer anyone. Not Madison. Not her mother, who texted me a smug, "Hope you grow from this." Not Lisa, her sister, who uploaded clips of the divorce party with hashtags like #newbeginnings and #girlboss. I let them talk. Let them spin their narrative. Let them think they'd won. But the thing about silence is it unsettles people. They don't know how to react to calm. Madison expected rage. Expected me to plead or explode or break down in front of her friends, maybe even punch Mason in the face and give her a story she could dine out on for years. Instead, I left. And she didn't know what to do with that. It took a week for the first text to come through. "Madison, hey, just checking in. Hope you're okay." I didn't respond. Then another. "Madison, I know things got a little dramatic, but maybe we can talk." I turned off read receipts. She didn't like that. 2 days later, the tone changed. "Madison, wow. So you're just gonna ghost me? After everything I've done for you?" She was unraveling faster than I thought. 3 days after that, I got a call from Mason. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Jake," he said, voice too smooth. "Hey man, I just wanted to say. I didn't mean for things to happen this way." "This way," I repeated. "Yeah, you know, Messy. Madison told me things between you two were basically over." "Cut the crap." He paused. "I know what you did," I said coldly. "I know how long it's been going on. I know about the hotels, the fake yoga, the private folder on her laptop labeled M. So unless you're calling to apologize for being a walking cliché, I suggest you hang up and get back to doing push-ups or whatever the hell it is you do." Click. I didn't block him. I wanted him to sit with that. The next message from Madison came 2 nights later at 2:37 a.m. "I miss you." It sat there on my screen, glowing in the darkness. I didn't miss her. I missed who she used to be, or more accurately, who I thought she was. But that version of Madison never really existed. It was a mask. A costume she wore until someone more exciting came along. I started sleeping better, eating better, working out again. Not to get revenge. Not for some comeback montage. Just because I needed to feel strong again inside and out. One night, I went to a bar with Lucas. He asked if I was seeing anyone. "Not yet," I said. He smirked. "But you will." "Maybe." But I wasn't in a rush to fill the void she left. Because truth was, there wasn't a void. It was more like dead weight had been cut loose. Like I could move again. Think clearly. Feel something other than confusion and exhaustion. Then came the voicemail. "Jake, I don't know what to say anymore. I made a mistake. A big one. I thought Mason was what I needed, but he's not you. He's nothing. He doesn't understand me like you did. He doesn't even ask how my day was." Her voice cracked. "I miss our mornings. Your coffee. That stupid way you folded your socks." I deleted it. And for a while, things went quiet. Until the night I saw headlights through my window. It was 1:14 a.m. I peeked through the blinds, and there she was, sleeping in her car, outside my building. Makeup smudged, blanket wrapped around her like armor. Her phone screen flashing in the dark. More texts. Please answer. I'm sorry. Just talk to me. I didn't move. I sipped my drink and stared. Let her feel what I felt. Let her live in the silence she once celebrated. Because I was done chasing someone who made a show out of breaking me. Madison was still outside in her car the next morning. I watched her from the 7th floor window, dressed in the same coat from the night before, trying to rub the fog off the windshield with a napkin. She looked smaller. Not physically, but emotionally, like she had collapsed inward. Like she had finally met the weight of what she'd done, and it crushed her. But I didn't feel satisfaction. Not yet. See, forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about you, about letting go of the grip they had on your sanity. And I wasn't ready to let go. Not after what she did. Not after how she made me the villain in her little fairy tale while screwing a guy who used the mirror more than the gym equipment. By noon, she was gone. No note. No message. Nothing. But the silence didn't last long. At 5:44 p.m., I got an email from her. Subject: please read. Jake. You have every right to ignore me. But I need to say this anyway. I was stupid. I thought I wanted adventure, passion, whatever you want to call it. I didn't realize how rare stability, safety, and loyalty are until they were gone. I miss us. Not just you, us. The way we used to laugh about dumb things. The comfort of not needing to talk and still knowing what the other was feeling. I know I broke something sacred, and I know you don't owe me a thing. But if you ever want to talk, I'll be here. Madison. I read it twice. She wrote it like she was journaling, not like she was addressing a person she dismantled in front of an audience with champagne and applause. There was a part of me, that old, tired, loyal part, that almost felt it. Almost wanted to say something back. But then I remembered her smirk the day she served me those divorce papers like they were a slice of birthday cake. And I remembered her dad's toast. We never thought she'd actually marry someone so beneath her. Yeah, some wounds don't bleed. They burn. And I wasn't done burning yet. That weekend, I saw Mason. I was out grabbing groceries at a local spot small place, not one he'd normally visit. But there he was, standing in the protein bar aisle, holding his phone like it held the secret to life. He saw me before I saw him, and he panicked. Jake, he started. Hey. I held up my hand. Don't. Just don't. He took a step back. Look, I didn't know she was going to humiliate you like that. I thought you guys were already broken. I cut in. Yeah, that's what she told you, right? That I was checked out. Dull. Cold. He looked uncomfortable. Good. She needed you to be the hero, I said. And for that, I had to be the villain. So she gave you a story. And you believed it. Because it made it easier to unzip her dress. His jaw clenched. I stepped closer. Not threatening. Just clear. I'm not angry at you, Mason. You were just a symptom. She's the disease. He didn't say anything. Just nodded and walked away. That night, Madison called. For the first time in weeks, I picked up. Jake, she asked softly. I got your email. Silence. I don't know if it changes anything, she said. But I meant every word. I know. More silence. I've been seeing a therapist, she blurted. Trying to figure out why I do the things I do. Good, I said. Figure it out. For you. Not for me. I don't expect you to come back. I had to try. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Then I said something that surprised even me. Madison, I'm not angry anymore. A beat. Then, you're not. No. Because anger ties me to you. And I'm done being tied to people who celebrate my pain. I ended the call before she could say anything else. Not out of cruelty. Out of clarity. Because letting go isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just quiet. Deliberate. Real. And in that moment, for the first time since it all began, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Free. The next time I saw Madison, it wasn't planned. It had been 3 months since that final phone call. I had moved on, truly. I wasn't seeing anyone seriously, but I was living again. I woke up with peace instead of dread. I slept without clenching my jaw. I laughed again, real laughter, not that performative chuckle I'd mastered during our marriage. And then, I saw her. It was at a networking gala for a nonprofit I'd been supporting, a clean-cut event, nothing too fancy. I was there with a colleague, Sarah. Sharp, kind eyes. She smiled when she spoke to people. She listened, something Madison used to fake. We were sipping wine when I heard that voice behind me. I knew it instantly. Not because I missed it, but because some voices are like sirens. Once they wreck you, your body never forgets. Jake, came the soft, hesitant call. I turned. There she was. Madison looked drained. Hair tied back, her makeup not hiding the exhaustion in her eyes. No diamond earrings. No designer heels. Just a woman stripped of pretense, standing in a place she used to own with her posture. I gave her a polite nod. Hey, Madison. She blinked, surprised by the calm. I didn't expect to see you here, she said, her voice trembling ever so slightly. I could say the same. She looked down. I'm volunteering now. For the PR team. Unpaid. I raised an eyebrow. Mason. Gone, she muttered. He lasted until the money dried up. Then he moved to Miami. Started dating a fitness model. There it was, the fall. The part they never post on social media. The crash after the climax. I'm sorry to hear that, I said flatly, though I wasn't. She looked up at me. You look happy. I am. She glanced at Sarah, then back at me. She's lovely. She's kind, I said. That's the difference. Madison swallowed hard. I made a mistake. I know, I said. Silence stretched between us. Then, she reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. I wrote you something. I wasn't going to bring it, but when I saw you, I didn't take it. Madison, I said, firm but not cruel, you had your stage. You had your celebration. I had my humiliation. And I made peace with it. But I'm not going back to who I was. I'm not picking up old letters. Her hand lowered slowly. She looked smaller again. Do you ever think about what we had? Sometimes, I admitted. And then I remember how you ended it. She looked down again, biting her lip. No words. Just regret soaking through her like rain through paper. I hope you find peace, I said. And I meant it. Because bitterness is poison, and I wasn't going to drink it for her anymore. I walked away. Not quickly. Not dramatically. Just steady. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. You deserved better. I see that now. I'm sorry I couldn't love you the way you needed. You were never beneath me, I just wasn't enough for you. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Not out of spite. Out of choice. Because some chapters don't need rereading. Some books close best when they stay shut. The next morning, I sat on my balcony, coffee in hand, the city stretching beneath me like a promise. The sun was warm. The air carried no weight. And I thought about how far I'd come. From the man who stood stunned in a room full of people laughing at his heartbreak, to the man who no longer flinched at the sound of her name. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was my own. And that was everything. 6 months after that night, the night she handed me divorce papers like they were a birthday card, I stood in the mirror tying my tie, alone. No audience. No stage photos. No fake smiles. Just me and my reflection, when I had finally made peace with. There's something sacred about solitude after chaos. Not loneliness. That's different. Solitude is chosen. It's steady. Controlled. And in it, I rebuilt myself, piece by piece, without her shadow looming over every thought. The truth is, I used to love her like a man drowning clings to driftwood. Desperately. Blindly. Thinking that if I just held on harder, longer, maybe we'd float. But she wasn't driftwood. She was the storm. And I survived her. Now, on the anniversary of the day she tried to break me publicly, I was planning a quiet dinner with a few close friends. No parties. No fanfare. Just real people. Real laughter. Real love. Then the knock came. It was soft. Too soft for a stranger. When I opened the door, I already knew. There she was. Madison. Same eyes. Different expression. This wasn't the smug, champagne-wielding queen of my humiliation. This was a woman who looked like she'd slept in regret for months. Her shoulders were hunched like she had to carry every lie she told. She didn't speak right away. I didn't offer her a seat. Jake, she began. You should go. Please. 5 minutes. I crossed my arms but said nothing. She looked around my apartment, noting how different it felt. Clean. Organized. Calm. Looks nice, she said softly. What do you want, Madison? She took a breath. I came to say goodbye. Really goodbye. I've been going to therapy. I've been writing. Trying to understand why I destroyed everything. You wanted more, I said flatly. You thought more looked like absent danger. Turns out, more was a fantasy. She winced. I thought I needed excitement. Passion. But I didn't realize how safe you made me feel until it was gone. I confused steady with boring. Loyal with weak. I thought you were small because you didn't fight me. But really, you were just calm. And I didn't know how to handle calm. I nodded. That's all true, I said. And it's also no longer my problem. She bit her lip. I know. I had to face you. One last time. To own what I did. No excuses. No manipulation. I let the silence sit. Then I asked, why now? She looked down. Because yesterday, I saw a couple in a coffee shop. The guy was helping the girl study. He brought her a muffin without asking what kind. She smiled like he'd just given her the world. And it hit me. You used to do that. I nodded slowly. Yeah, I did. She looked up, tears in her eyes but not falling. And I ruined it. Yes, I said. You did. There was no screaming. No dramatic music. Just truth laid bare between two people who once promised forever and barely made it past her 5. She reached into her coat and pulled out something. A small box. I was going to give this to you a year ago, she said. Back when things were still salvageable. Inside was a watch. My grandfather's. The one I thought I lost when we moved. I kept it. I don't even know why. I took it slowly. Turned it over in my hands. It's yours, she said. Always was. Thank you, I said quietly. She stood in the doorway a second longer, like she was hoping I'd change my mind. That I'd ask her to stay. That we could go back. But I didn't. Because healing doesn't mean reopening old wounds. It means leaving them closed. Scarred. Stronger. She nodded. And then she left. No tears. No begging. Just the sound of finality and the click of a door. I looked down at the watch. Worn. Scratched. Still ticking. Just like me. That night, I laughed harder than I had in years. Surrounded by people who saw me, not as a project, not as a placeholder, but as a whole person. When they asked what I wanted for my birthday, I simply said, exactly this. And as I raised my glass, I finally understood. Some people are lessons. Others are blessings. Madison? She was both.